Hi guys, Eric Cressey here at Cressey Sports Performance. This is going to be day 4 of our neck series. As I mentioned in our last video, we started above the neck for our first two of sternocleidomastoid scalenes. Then we went below that clavicle and worked a little bit on subclavius. Now we're going to work a little bit more laterally. Okay? On the anterior aspect of your scapula, you have something called your coracoid process. And it's a really important attachment point for your pec minor, your coracobrachialis, as well as the short head of your biceps. We know short head of the biceps tends to stay in terms of your classic biceps expectations from referral pattern. Coracobrachialis is a little bit more interesting. You can get like almost like a bursitis type referral out here. Some people will get stuff into the triceps. And pec minor, as anybody who's ever had good soft tissue work in that area, can refer stuff all over the place. A lot of people will get like an ulnar nerve distribution. So there can be quite a few things that are game changers in terms of being able to get in there. So they all share this common attachment point. What we know is when we have that low shoulder that's very anteriorly tilted, that coracoid process is brought down. So there's a lot of shortness in the anterior aspect of the shoulder, where if we can get right in on that attachment point, we can help to get a little bit more posterior tilt. That's really, really clinically significant in the context of folks who may have nerve or even vascular issues down into the arm beyond just shoulder pain, because you do have a lot of nerve and vascular structures that effectively run right underneath some of those muscles that attach on the front of the coracoid process. So it's going to be very, very similar to what we did with subclavius. The only difference is instead of being right on the inside of the clavicle, we're going to work a little bit further over. And what you'll find is that you can actually palpate an area where it feels like there's a little bit of extra tissue right here. We'll get right on, and obviously we're working through the pec major tendon as we get here, so we're going to have to pin it just a little bit harder to get on there, and then we'll just go through repeated flexion, extension through the arm. Some folks will feel it a little bit more if they actually extend past neutral. It's a way to kind of, I think, get access to that attachment point just a little bit more, but all we're going to do is try to drive some of that scapular posterior tilt. So I'll actively cue people as they get up to the top, try to posterior tilt just a little bit to try to put it on a little bit more of a stretch. The other thing that can help the cause is pec minor is an accessory respiratory muscle of inhalation, so adding a little bit of an exhalation as you come up overhead can add a little bit more to it. So those cover your 4 kind of soft tissue approaches that we use the Acumobility for. Again, we use the orange one, which has a little bit more give to it just because we want to be gentle. I can't overstate enough that when you're working further up towards the neck, this is not like working on a quad. It's not like beating up on hamstrings or adductors. You need to make sure that you work gently and focus on getting those tissues gliding as opposed to a lot of aggressive compression. So think of light pin and stretch, and you should get some really good results.